You've been told for decades that eggs are dangerous, that they clog your arteries and raise your cholesterol, and that anyone over 60 who eats them regularly is playing with fire. And so you swap them out. You switch to cereal, to toast, to something safer, or so you were told. But here is what nobody corrected. That advice was wrong. And the cost of following it, for millions of seniors right now, may be showing up in a place nobody expected. Not in the heart, in the brain. I'm Dr. Hayes Anderson, and after 22 years in senior health, I've seen firsthand what accelerated cognitive decline looks like, and how often it traces back to nutritional gaps that were created by well-meaning but outdated guidance. By the end of this video, you will know exactly what eggs do inside the aging brain, which nutrients in the yolk are directly linked to memory protection, how timing and preparation method change everything, and what the latest research says about eggs and dementia risk. I'll also tell you about the one specific group of seniors who genuinely do need to be more careful, and what they should do instead. Stay with me because the third point is the one most people get completely backwards. Here is why this matters so much right now. The original fear around eggs was built on a single hypothesis from the 1960s, that dietary cholesterol raised blood cholesterol, and that raised blood cholesterol caused heart attacks. It made intuitive sense at the time. But over the following 5 decades, the research unraveled that connection almost completely. Major reviews, including the landmark 2020 Dietary Guidelines Advisory Committee report, found that dietary cholesterol is not the driver of cardiovascular risk most people believe it to be. Eggs were quietly rehabilitated in the scientific literature, but nobody sent the memo to the public. The problem is that seniors spent years, sometimes decades, avoiding one of the most nutrient-dense foods available to the aging brain. And the brain, it turns out, is deeply dependent on what eggs uniquely provide. Let's start with the nutrient most people have never heard of. It is called choline. And if you are over 65 and your diet has been low in choline, this is the moment to pay close attention. Choline is not a vitamin. It is not a mineral. It is an essential nutrient that the body cannot produce in sufficient quantities on its own, which means it must come from food. And the richest dietary source of choline on Earth by a significant margin is the egg yolk. A single large egg contains roughly 147 milligrams of choline. The adequate intake for adults over 50 is 425 milligrams for women and 550 milligrams for men per day. That means 2 to 3 eggs gets you most of the way there from a single food source. Now here is why choline matters to your memory specifically. The brain uses choline to manufacture acetylcholine, one of the primary neurotransmitters responsible for memory formation, attention, and cognitive processing speed. As we age, acetylcholine production naturally declines. That decline has been directly linked in the research to the kind of memory lapses that seniors often attribute to normal aging. The word that won't come, the name that slips away, the thought that vanishes before you can hold on to it. But it is not just aging, it is deficiency. Studies published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition have found that higher choline intake in older adults is associated with significantly better cognitive performance, including verbal memory and visual memory. And research from the Framingham Heart Study found that seniors with the highest choline intake had lower rates of dementia and performed better on a battery of cognitive tests compared to those with the lowest intake. Let me tell you about Walter, 71 years old, a retired civil engineer from Ohio, who came to see me after his wife noticed he was repeating himself in conversation. Not dramatically, but consistently. He would ask her the same question twice in an afternoon. He would tell her the same story he had told her the day before. Walter was frightened. He had watched his father disappear into Alzheimer's over 7 years, and he was convinced he was watching the same clock start. When we looked at his diet, the pattern was immediate. For 11 years, following his cardiologist's advice from 2009, Walter had eaten no eggs. His choline intake was critically low. We adjusted his diet, reintroduced eggs, and added a few other targeted foods. Within 4 months, his wife told me the repeating had stopped. He was sharper. He was more present. Walter still monitors his cholesterol. It remains in a healthy range. The eggs did not hurt his heart. They may have helped save his memory. Choline is only the beginning, because there is a second nutrient in the egg yolk that the dementia research is now treating as a major player, and most people have never connected it to brain health at all. Lutein and zeaxanthin are antioxidants most commonly associated with eye health. But researchers studying the aging brain have found something striking. These same compounds accumulate in brain tissue, specifically in regions associated with cognitive function, and higher brain concentrations of lutein are consistently linked to better fluid intelligence, faster processing speed, and lower rates of cognitive decline. Egg yolks are one of the most bioavailable sources of both lutein and zeaxanthin available in the food supply. The form found in eggs is absorbed by the body more efficiently than the form found in leafy greens, because the fat in the yolk aids absorption directly. This brings us to a critical point about preparation, and it is the part of this video I need you to remember. The way you cook your eggs determines how much of these nutrients you actually absorb. And one very common preparation method destroys a significant portion of the benefit. Scrambling eggs at high heat for a prolonged period oxidizes the cholesterol in the yolk and degrades heat-sensitive nutrients, including choline and lutein. That doesn't mean scrambled eggs are off the table entirely, but it means the cooking method matters more than most people realize. The preparations that best preserve nutrient integrity are soft-boiled, poached, or lightly cooked over easy eggs, where the yolk remains runny or just barely set. A runny yolk is not just a texture preference, it is a nutritional decision. The lipids in the yolk that haven't been subjected to high heat carry the fat-soluble nutrients, lutein, zeaxanthin, vitamin D, vitamin A, intact into your system. If you prefer harder yolks, that is fine. You will still absorb the choline and most of the protein. But for the fat-soluble brain-protective compounds, lower heat and shorter cooking time preserve significantly more. There is also the question of what you pair your eggs with, because this is where most seniors inadvertently undermine the benefit. Consider Diane, 68, a retired school teacher who ate 2 eggs every morning and was proud of it. But she always ate them with 2 slices of white toast and a glass of orange juice with added sugar. Her blood sugar would spike sharply by mid-morning, triggering an insulin response that created an inflammatory environment in the brain. The eggs were doing their job. The rest of the plate was working against her. When she replaced the toast with half an avocado and traded the juice for water with lemon, her energy stabilized, her afternoon mental fog lifted, and her follow-up cognitive screening 6 months later showed measurable improvement in processing speed. Eggs paired with healthy fats, avocado, olive oil, a small amount of cheese, enhance the absorption of fat-soluble nutrients. Eggs paired with leafy greens create a synergy between the zeaxanthin in the yolk and the folate in the greens, both of which support methylation, the process the brain uses to regulate neurotransmitter balance and protect against homocysteine accumulation. Elevated homocysteine is one of the most well-established modifiable risk factors for Alzheimer's disease, and eggs, combined with folate-rich vegetables, actively work to bring that marker down. Now, I promised to tell you about the group of seniors who do need to be more cautious. And this is important. If you have a genetic variant called ApoE4, which increases Alzheimer's risk, but also changes how your body processes dietary fat, your response to egg consumption may be different. ApoE4 carriers tend to show a more pronounced increase in LDL cholesterol in response to dietary cholesterol and saturated fat. This does not mean eggs are off limits. It means they should be discussed with your doctor in the context of your full lipid panel and cardiovascular picture. If you do not know your ApoE status, and you have a strong family history of both heart disease and Alzheimer's, that conversation with your physician is worth having. For the majority of seniors, those without this genetic variant, the research supports 2 to 3 whole eggs per day as not only safe, but actively beneficial for brain health. I also want to address one more thing that often comes up. Seniors who have been told by their cardiologist to limit dietary cholesterol to under 200 milligrams per day. That guideline was officially removed from the U.S. dietary guidelines in 2015. The American Heart Association no longer sets a specific daily limit on dietary cholesterol for most people. If your cardiologist gave you that instruction more than 10 years ago and has not revisited it since, it may be worth a fresh conversation. Memory loss is not inevitable. Cognitive decline is not written in stone. There are things happening in your brain right now that nutrition can influence. And the humble egg, the food that was wrongly exiled from millions of breakfast tables for 30 years, may be one of the most powerful tools available to you. Actionable takeaway. Here is what I want you to do before this week is over. First, add 1 to 2 whole eggs back into your morning routine if they have been absent. Not egg whites, whole eggs. The yolk is where the brain protective nutrients live. Second, cook them gently, soft-boiled, poached, or lightly over easy. Lower heat, less time. Third, build the plate intentionally. Pair your eggs with half an avocado or a drizzle of olive oil and add leafy greens, spinach, arugula, or kale, either alongside or cooked in. Fourth, eliminate the sugary companions. No juice, no white toast, no sweetened yogurt on the side. That blood sugar spike is the enemy of everything the eggs are trying to do. And fifth, if you have cardiovascular concerns or a family history of Alzheimer's, bring this video to your next appointment and ask your doctor to review your current dietary guidance with fresh eyes. And speaking of what happens inside the body at a level most people never see, the next video in this series goes deep into something that connects almost every chronic disease your doctor has warned you about. It is called chronic inflammation, and what researchers have discovered about how it silently drives cognitive decline, heart disease, and accelerated aging, and what you can actually do to lower it, is something every senior needs to understand. That video is coming very soon. Make sure you do not miss it. Before I go, I want to ask you something. Drop your answer in the comments below. Were you told to avoid eggs by a doctor? And if so, how long ago? I am genuinely curious how widespread this guidance still is, and your answers help me understand what this community needs most. And if you have a spouse, a sibling, or a friend who has been avoiding eggs for years on old advice, please share this video with them. That single conversation could matter more than you know.